Okay, hi, good afternoon, everyone. We get the things, get class started, anyone else needs to do attendance? How come there's only 7 person doing attendance only? 7, anyone else needing to do attendance? Can you please do so now? Any more people doing attendance? No, huh? I off, Then I'll start sharing my screen on the notes already, yeah? Can you all see my screen? It's on project quality management.
Yes,
Okay, thank you. Right. So if I move my screen, you all can see also can see the movement.
yes, also.
Okay, good. All right. Okay. The Good afternoon. And yes, today is my first class and my last class with you on quality management. Okay. And last week we had checking in, and then after that, that's it. And you know, you all were supposed to listen to the pre-recorded lecture, which is the overview of quality management and also on quality planning. I think that was what I've posted, if I remember correctly. Okay, so today class will not be very long as well. So we're just going to do a wrap up on quality management. Okay, and then to give you a no more overview, but it's very specific, like how to do project quality management. I think that one is more practical. I think in terms of, um, in terms of master's degree, I don't think we really need to go through a lot of theories and talk about, plenty of theories. But it's more onto how you're going to use those theories to actually practice at your workplace. Okay, you will notice that quality management in MSCEM program is mainly taken by Prof. Dr. Shed and Dr. Shelley, and myself is all focusing on project quality management. I think Prof shared, and also uh, Dr. Shirley, their background and also the usage of quality management for them is very specific tools and theories. Okay, so I think they have given you a lot of these tools and theories, and then also many things uh, uh, on how to do the quality control tools, and then the actual technique, the calculations, and also more on the concept of quality management. Okay, and my role here is to apply project quality management. I mean, quality management to project. Okay, and this may not be applicable to some people. Okay, because you are not so much of working in a project environment. For example, chemical engineer. Okay, but it's definitely very relevant to people in M&E, and also civil, especially in construction, especially. Okay, and you can see that in our 6063 class, which is our project management class. We don't have a quality management class, and it is supposed to be there. Okay, but because we do have a very specific quality management course, so project quality management is being part under this uh, 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 course. Okay, and the total hours is about two. Is more on application. Okay, and more on applying quality management into projects. Okay, so as we understood, okay, if you have gone through my pre-recorded lecture, okay, I think you would know by now that um quality, like quality management, and also the background of quality management, and how is a lot of time very applicable, very clear and very applicable to M&E engineers, mechanical manufacturing people, and electrical people, maybe power supply energy sort of people. They are all quite clear about that. Okay, so but uh but it's not to say that it is not important. So I think the involvement, the focus, the involvement, the theory involvement of quality management is actually from manufacturing. So you can see the people like Duran, Deming, and all that, people, from the after World War II, where there's a lot of resources needed, to produce industrialization, to mass produce things. That is where you can see that there's a drop in terms of quality, because pre-war, pre-industrialization, we are talking about tradesmen, we're talking about craftsmanship, we're talking about making watches, we're making about jewelries, clocks, cars, all these things, very much of a handmade crafting. Even if you do like chocolates, you do food, cookies, bakeries, like croissant, for example. All these things, they are very handmade. So there's a very specific attention from one craftsman to from craftsman bringing skills to bring in that level of practice and excellence, doing things so well that the product that it comes out, like whether they're going to make the table or chairs, whether they're going to make a frame for a photograph, a photo, or whether they're going to do watches like Switzerland, Germany, all these people, they're very good at doing crafting of watches, hand making, the mechanical part, putting together, not using machines. Okay, so these are craftsmanship that, in a way, through years and years and years of training, could actually bring about precision, excellence, and that is where quality lies. You see, so when industrialization comes, where things are made in a factory, where you have robots, where you have machines, where you've got conveyor belts, and all these things that do automation, this craftsmanship is kind of lost. You see, so imagine in the old days, where people want to make a necklace, they want to make a pendant, they want to make a jewelry. You're talking about like really carving your things, with hands, with tools, with skills. You see, and whereby now is more on, okay, the design is done, I key into the conveyor, I mean the machines, and then from the different parts of the machine, people will make cakes through machines. How do you think that secret recipe make cakes? They will be putting it through conveyor belts, and then the cake is going to be like, mixed together in the machine, pump onto the conveyor belt, and then send into the oven, and then come out. The machine will cut it, the machine will beat the cream, the machine, that's how they can produce mass production. You see, so there of course there is a lacking of that quality, of that precision, of that craftsmanship, of that excellence, of that accuracy in doing things, and of course, the machine, you don't need skills. I mean, some people say that if the machine is probably more precise, but somehow is kind of like lacking of certain attention, because whatever the machine says, I mean, like you give the machine can do A, B, C, D precisely. But if there's anything that goes wrong with the material, with the equipment, with the machine itself, you know, the machine cannot catch it. Let's say the cream temperature is a little bit out, the butter temperature is a little bit out, the machine probably cannot catch it, and then they probably cannot do that immediate action to actually put into that changes and do the control immediately. But with a craftsman, he feels it with his experience. He knows that this is not right, and he cannot take that, and use it. So he smells it and he knows that this is not good, or he feel it with his hands, and then he knows that this is something is not wrong, the temperature is not right, so they can do a lot of remedial work quite fast, you see. So that's where the excellence and qualities are being produced. So I think that is the birth of quality, lah, honestly, because of industrialization, because of mass production, because of usage of machinery and automation and manufacturing and all that. So you do give people a lot of you bring up the society, that you can bring down the prices. So imagine in the old days, when you do a table, you want to buy a table, a craftsman will go to the hutan and chop the tree, pick the wood, like sand the table, and then do all this sort of like a no screw kind of design, and then one by one leg by one leg, they will chop and cut and and craft and all that. So it would take him 3 months, 5 months, 6 months just to produce a table, you see, and then with the chairs, and then when he sells it, of course, he sells it at high price because of the time that they put in. So with mass production, it's like, you look at IKEA, that is mass production. So basically you can bring the prices down. You can make like 10, 20, 40, 50 a day, and that actually reduce the expense and cost and all that. So one table can sell for like 500 ringgit, 600 ringgit, rather than you buy a big huge nice timber Berlian table whereby the craftsman did it, you probably have to pay like 20,000 for it, you see. So it makes things more affordable. It makes things it makes it more affordable. It is quicker. You can access things a lot faster, and but then of course there will be lifespan losses and all that. So um, for that precision excellence and all that is not there anymore. So you probably have a product that everybody else would have anyway. You see, so yeah. So what we say that with quality, okay, with quality, that is a birth of quality. So from there things kind of evolved. So from moment that you kind of like talk about, you know um statistical process, and then after that you talk about quality management, the quality management era, and then the TQM era, total quality management era. So these are where quality management comes from, you see. And then for us in project, especially because our activities are usually a lot, okay, and then we do have a lot of resources that we need to manage. We have labor. For any quality management, your resources is very important. When we talk about quality, your workmanship, your workmanship, which is your manpower, your machinery and your equipment and your material, and also the money that attached to it and the methods. So these 5 M's basically, it will detect quality. Okay, it will detect the final product. And whether we like it or not, however you design it, without these 5 M's, you cannot get the desired results that you are looking for, you see. So when we talk about quality management in project, our focus is really uh, the project itself. And project itself has a lot of different activities, and also the other element about a project is because it's a one-off thing. Every project is like a one-off thing, it's not something that is going to be repeated many, many times. It's not like a factory environment whereby, you produce 10 table, you produce 50 dresses, in one run of machines, you see. So uh, that actually makes it different. So every project is like a different individual. So it's just like, imagine you go to a tailor, you want to make yourself a nice dress, or man, you want to make yourself a new suit, what do you mean by bespoke, and what do you mean by custom made, and what do you mean by ready made? There's the difference in quality, okay? And of course, all these qualities, all these level of qualities are actually dependent on which category are you going for. If you're going for ready-made, which means it's probably produced by a factory, and then it will come in SML, so you buy sizes that it suits you, and then you wear, and then maybe after 5-10 wears, it's already off and you've got to discard it. But if you go for custom made is this ready design. There's a lot of designs there already. You pick the design you want, they will do the measurement for you with your body, okay, and then make the suit or make the dress according to your body, okay. So you will definitely feel a lot better. You can choose your own material according to your own budget, and then we talk about bespoke is when you have a bespoke dress or bespoke suit. It will be somebody coming to you, the tailor will come to you and they will look at you, they will design something that suits you, design something that you like, and then they will measure your body. So from A to Z, it is for you and you alone only. So you can see that whichever category that we talk about here, okay, there is an element here that you cannot forget is customer, okay. Whether you're going for a bespoke, whether you're going for custom made, whether you're going for ready made, you cannot ignore the fact that somebody's going to wear that dress and somebody's going to wear that suit, and that somebody's got to like it. And is that somebody who is liking it that will tell you that this is good quality or not good quality? Okay, so quality always depend very much on the uh, on the on the client itself. Okay, so and with project, right, and that is the element of project now. It's not like manufacturing. Manufacturing, you are not you are doing something standard, and it's for a very massive audience. Okay, whereby for project, you are actually very specifically treating somebody like they're walking into your shop and you are a tailor, and you ask them whether you want to do tailor made or whether you want to do bespoke or whether you want to get ready made. You probably have already made something here on the shelf, you can pick and go and all that, you see. So in terms of project quality, you have to think of project quality as serving some individual. You is serving, the product that you are producing in the end, it has to satisfy certain group of individual. It has to be very specific to certain people, certain client, certain customers, and it has a very specific nature. It is not just, building something that um is is general. It's very general. Yeah, we in civil we do build things that are general. We build sewer treatment plants, we build drainage, we build roads, but you see, when you build all these things, even though they may sound very generic, they may sound very general, okay, but they are not. you build a drain from point A to point B, you've got to cater for the ground condition, you need to cater for the catchment condition, you need to know where the rainfall, how big is the rainfall, what is the highest rainfall, and how is the drain going to function for specific populations. So is waterworks, so is road and bridges and all that. So they are very specific product, you see. So when we talk about project, you need to understand that there is this specific level of attention of to the product that is necessary. So we cannot apply, just normal quality management. There will be uh you need to do project quality management because, like I said, first, project has a lot of activities, and a lot of activities is associated with lots of resources. And number two, project is like an individual. They are different. There's no project that is the same. It's just that in this world, there's no two persons that are the same. So every project is actually very specific to certain needs and certain requirements, certain desires, certain usage, and then uh, uh, it deals with very specific needs and desire and wants, and that means the activities, the product itself may not be fulfilling everybody. It's not everybody's cup of tea sort of thing. So you need to be aware of that. Okay, so why specifically we're doing project quality management, and you're thinking like, why, what is so fancy about project quality management? And like I said, project has their own specific characteristic. Every project is different. There is no two project in this world the same. The ground condition can be different, the team can be different, the material can be different, the design can be different, the purpose can be different, the serving the population, the end users, they can be different. So every project is to ensure a special product being built, and that product will not be repetitive of itself. There will not be a mass production going on here. Okay, and it's a very specific facilities. Ultimately, the final product is special. Okay, so therefore it requires certain level of excellence. And then, okay, so when we talk about, I think when we talk about earlier stages of quality, before we even move into really doing quality management, I have to be very clear with you that quality management does not just start when the project starts, and that is whereby a lot of people has a wrong philosophy. They actually think that uh, they actually think about project as when it start, then our quality management starts, but it's not true. So what I'm trying to emphasize here is what is quality. So this is the part that I have to emphasize. Every project, there's going to be a client, there's going to be end users, there's going to be a very specific group of people that you are serving here, that has certain needs, requirement, and specific desires and specific wants and all that. So actually, uh, project quality management, first and foremost, it started off with client. Okay, so it's client satisfaction that will make whether your project has that level of quality that is desired. So you need to meet the minds of your client. You need to know what are the level of quality that is achievable. Okay, and this is the part that we as engineers, we need to guide, and we need to educate. We need to I won't call educate, because educate sounds like we are so big, and they are so low kind of thing, but it's more like to guide, to share, and then to actually see what is to actually point them in the right direction. I mean, point them in a more reasonable direction. Okay, so in the class, sorry, in the pre-recorded lecture, I think I've spoken about quality. Okay, what is different? What is quality? Some people define quality as fit for its intended purpose. Some people talk about value as quality. Some people talk about product functionality as the quality. So we need to define our quality first. But before we define our quality, we need to know who is our customer, who is our end user, who are the person in the end who will use the project, and they are who is your client, who is the person that you are serving, because you are looking for the you are actually looking for their satisfaction. Okay, so get your customers right first. Engineers, we must spend time, we must spend time on, on understanding, meeting the minds of our client. Okay, and then, spending time and meeting the minds of our clients so that we can really understand what is quality to them. Okay, so then we can define quality. Like I say, if it's product functionality, like some people, I'm pretty sure, like some people, our requirement, everybody's requirement for a laptop and handphone, they're very different, you see. So if, let's say, me, I want my laptop to be functional, and then I've, spoken about, you know many of these things before, whether, I just want things to be functional. My purpose of having a laptop is to teach. It must have good sound quality, and people can hear me when I talk. I can hear students when they talk. The speakers must be good. The screen must be clear, because I do have and I do watch entertainment on my laptop. I do want my laptop to be able to have a good speed. So you see functionality. So what is considered as my quality? So if I'm a client, I'm going out now to buy myself a computer. Okay, so the person serving me will need to know what me, that he or she needs to know me before he or she can introduce me a product that actually fulfill my level of quality or my definition of quality. So again, the word is customers and definition of quality. So some customers, they go for value, you see. So they will say, oh, if I can have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I pay 2,000, I prefer that than if I pay for A, B, C, D, E, F, and then pay for 2,000. For them, they don't really care, if the things is looking good or not, but at least it has to have high value. There are people like that, so there are clients like that. If I can spend 2 million and get 20 houses, why you want me to spend 20 million and just build like 18 houses but with higher quality? Like it's better looking, aesthetic and all that. I don't want to. I want that value for my money, you see. I want more profit. That is my target. This is my aim. This is my objectives here. So client, you must know your client, know their definition of quality, or and then we determine the level of quality. So in this case here, we'll be talking about level of quality. So I've given you in a pre-recorded lecture, if I'm not wrong, there will be different level of quality. With the first level is, of course, fit to be used, you see. So a $500 handphone is the same. You still can make calls with it. You still can text. You still can WhatsApp. You still can play Facebook on it, and you can go on Instagram. Compared to a iPhone, for you pay 5,000 ringgit for it, or even more, 8,000. Yeah. So what is it that is there, that says that iPhone has better quality? No. So you have to know that if the level of quality that you have set is just functionality, things can be used, then you have achieved your level of quality already. So if you're going to go for second level, that means second level is after functionality, it has to be fulfilling certain standards and requirement and government punya requirement and all that. That is usually like codes, councils, Euro codes, then that is second level. And then the higher level will be on durability, not only just function, it can last, it can have better performance, then it is faster, the speed is a lot faster, a lot more, and then of course another level is high performance. High performance means, I mean, high performance usually means that it can do certain things that really fit your intention, actually. Like, it's some people don't need it, but you need it to be high performance. It's just like if you work for an electricity company or an energy company, you have to have high performance. You need to be able to uh, uh, quickly send the electricity to the right places. You cannot allow a lot of breakdowns. There must be durability attached. Everything must be able to produce certain kilowatts, in a day, and even do more in a day. So that is high performance. So high performance usually are related to higher productivity, like it's giving a lot more than the other option. Okay. And of course, you have other level, like, you can use this product in a lot of different ways. Like, it's just like if you buy a scarf, and one of the requirement for some people is I must be able to use it in 20 different ways, you see. So then that one is adaptability, you see. So different level of quality dependent on your client. And of course, not to say their needs and desire is so important, their pocket is also very important. Some people, they want high performance, but they don't have money for high performance. They don't have the budget for high performance. So it's not achievable if you don't have that resources that goes with that level of quality. So that's whereby we have to actually determine, we actually have to guide our client. Once you understand what they want, understand their character, understand their desire, understand their goals, understand what they want to achieve, then you need to know what is the definition of quality. Then you need to know what considered as high quality, which level of quality considered to them is high. Just like if you buy a car, a car can go on a road and it doesn't break down. That is a car. The car that is according to Malaysian standards, that is a second level car. A car that can last you with just one just one maintenance a year, and then the car that lasts you for 12 years is also high quality. That is third level, you see. And a car that can go from, when you step on the accelerator, it can go from 0 to 60 or 100 in like 1 second or 30 seconds. It's high performance. The aircon can turn on by itself. It's high performance. you know and the car can go onto the road and do like 360 turn, and it can turn turtle, and it has wonderful airbag system, for example. This is a high performance, you see. So you really need to achieve depending on the level of quality. Okay, so in terms of project quality, this is something that we have to do initially, okay, very initially. And this is the part that a lot of us will kind of forget, and then we kind of ignore, and not to say ignore, like, you just know it, but you don't really do it, kind of thing. Then, after that, after you guide, uh, whether your client has that budget for it, means that whether what they want is achievable or not. Then of course we need to find something that is appropriate for them, and then we determine that the appropriate level of quality. Then after that, our quality management will start. Okay. And now you know the product, you know what they want, this is the level of quality that you want. So we move on to the design stage, or we move on to our consultancy stage, whether it may be even good for them just to buy off the rack. Like I say, it could be cheaper and doing the same function, maybe less durable, but they can use it for 5 years, no problem. After that, then they have to pump in more money to upgrade or whatever. So you see, this is how we treat our client. And once we go to that level, so it could be going into design, which means tailor-made, okay, and which means cut bespoke, which means that you really custom for that particular person. Then we need to do design, we need to further communicate, present our designs and all that, just to get the picture right. You see, so if you don't get the picture right, if you don't get the right frame from the client, or the right guideline from like, you don't guide your client and you don't get the right um um the mind, you don't really meet the mind of a client. In the end, you just do whatever you want as a designer. Then when the product is being built, after millions and millions of dollars being spent, the client didn't like it. So that no matter what you say, it is not good quality, because customer satisfaction is the determinant factor of modern quality management, actually. Okay. So of course, like I said, not everything the client says is right. It's our job to guide them in terms of level of appropriateness, in terms of who determines the level of quality, whether it's achievable, what are the costs of achieving such a quality, whether it's actually uh, good value to achieve it. Sometimes you can say that I want a lot of things, but in the end, if you have to pay so much, it's actually not worth it. So that marginal cost of achieving the high quality, we got to get all these things set up first before we actually move into what we call project quality management. So before that is about the product, about coming up with the product, and that you have to do that. And that is what the system of order quality management calls for. They will tell everybody that TQM is about customers focus, uh, um, it's about leadership, it's about workplace change, mentality change, and it's about everybody understand quality and do quality and talk quality, and every single DNA in that this is something that you need to do for your job as a quality manager, or for the team who is actually building or who are actually designing that particular product. Okay. And of course, like I said, very importantly, you must know what are the resources that the client have. If they don't have the resources, sometimes whatever they want will be highly impossible to be achieved. And then if you don't bring down their expectation right from the beginning, you're going to be in for a very nasty surprise, because they will tell you they don't like this, they don't like that, they want to change this, they want to change that, and then in the end, you will probably just feel like this is not right, and this is really something is off here, you see. So yeah, so it is not I mean, like, how come you're putting in so much effort for so little money, for example, and it's too much of change, too much of design change, and on site they will ask you to hack this one off, they don't like it, they want to redo some things, and it's going to cost a lot more money, a lot more time, and all that. So then the clients don't like this, don't like that. In the end, they will feel like, oh yeah, this is so lousy. And when they go into that mode of ranting, this is so bad and so lousy, then obviously you are not fulfilling the quality part of the equation here, whereby we as project manager, we need to actually deliver the project on time, within the budget, plus the quality requirements stated, deliver according to the quality requirements stated. Okay. So now, after you've understand the level, uh the level, the out what is the outcome that you're looking for, then what kind of design, what kind of that you are looking at, and then we've understand what the client wants already. Once we proceed with it, so once the project starts, okay, once the design starts, I think it starts as early as design, not really as like only during construction. So if you think that you want to manage quality from construction onwards, then I'm so sorry to say that how you're going to be in for a very nasty surprise, and then you're not going to enjoy your life at all as an engineer, because um, a lot of things has already happened way ahead. And when you come to site and doing things and controlling and monitoring, this is actually just a very last end of a thing already. It's like if you don't control things upstream, and then you cannot say that downstream is flooded all the time, and then you blame the downstream, you blame the downstream pond, you blame the downstream container, or you blame the downstream ability being not able to do the things that you want it to do, you see. So because the upstream is not being properly clear up first, you see, like you probably did not understand the upstream in that sense, you see. So yeah, so what we are emphasizing here is, okay, don't just keep on thinking about going to check, going to monitor, and then forget about the design. If the quality start as early as, like I said, meeting the client's mind and then getting the requirement out, and then exactly the picture, both of you are meeting the mind of one another, and then plus the then we flow on to do the design, whether it's going to be a bespoke, or whether there's going to be existing design that you are copying from, or whether you may just advise the client to go and get ready made, go and buy himself a building. Like I would advise my clients. Sometimes some clients look for me and say that, Dr. Ting, can you help us to do what do you think about designing a new factory for ourselves? And I would say that, why don't you just, if I look at the cost here that you're going to be putting in here, it may, it may be a lot cheaper if you just go and buy one yourself, like buy a shop lot and convert it to a factory or whatever. And yeah, so we can advise our client, what is the best value for them in that way. And then, but some clients say that I know it's cheaper, but I want it to be my thing, and I want it to be very specifically catering for my company with certain requirement like strong room guard, they must have like anti-explosive wall guard, they have certain needs, so that's why we have to understand our customers satisfaction, set customer requirement, and then also definitely regulatory requirements as well. Okay, so and then once the design, or once the idea is clear, uh, we move on and do our QMS. Okay, so we must sorry we move into our project quality management, and this is the part that, of course, I think everybody is involved, and everybody knows about this part, is how you must have, like your project quality management system must have what we call quality management system. Okay, it's a system. So it's a formalized way of documenting the process, procedures, and then how to guide, and how to bring and lead the team, to achieve the quality objectives, the aim, and the policies that you set up to do, how to achieve that product, that is going to be customer satisfied. So we need QMS. And a lot of people are very stuck at QMS because it's about designing your own quality management system. A lot of construction related uh, company, they like to use PQP, project quality plan, to become their QMS. Manufacturing, some people use Kaizen, Six Sigma, lean construction, IBS, all these things are considered as system as well. Okay, and of course CIDB always talk about quality management system, but there is no one proposed system that I feel like is really, really substantially enough to cover a lot of things. I mean, like many things, because a lot of the CIDB system like QLASIC and all that, they're actually very specific to certain industry. It's not about the general framework of QMS. Okay, so if let's say, okay, so what is QMS? QMS is a collection of processes that focus on achieving quality, objective, and policy to meet the customer's requirement. So in a way, achieving quality, objective, and policies is about achieving and creating that product that meets the customer's requirement, to put it in plain English. And it includes the right all range of businesses. So if let's say you're into manufacturing, and then you are given a project to create some certain parts for a car or handphone or computer, or you are in a construction team when you're asked to build bridges, roads, and or like roads and houses, residentials, building commercial, or you can build military facilities, medical facilities, and then yeah, so basically it applies. So meaning that QMS is a fundamental, it's a fundamental framework that we are looking at here. Okay, and then you have to modify your framework. You have to create using that principle in QMS has certain principle inside there. Okay, principle is a framework of principles basically, and then if we can understand our principle, fully understand our QMS principle, you can create your own QMS. Using the framework that is available, you can create your own QMS, which means creating your own system for your own project. And that is what I highly encourage, you see. And, it is a collection of processes, policy, documented procedures, records, and all that helps you to achieve and deliver the product to your services to your customers. Okay. So QMS has to be very specific to the end product that you are looking at. So that's why I say if you're in construction, even if you're in construction, there will be similarity in your QMS. But if you're building road with your pipe or versus pipe or versus drain or versus residential building versus commercial building, high rise versus low rise, there will be differences in your QMS system. Okay. So QMS system is like, it's really a system. It's really a framework that is available, and that framework forces you to has processes and procedure to achieve that final product that can actually satisfy the customer. Okay, so quality is a process. Quality is not the final product. You cannot look at a final product and say that, hey, this is good quality or not good quality. Of course, that one is based on customer satisfaction, and that is possible, that is doable. But at the core of everything, we are essentially looking at, it is a process, meaning that if all the process are in place, there shouldn't be any reason why the final product is not going to be having that attribute that you wish it to have, or that you want it, that you desire it to have, you see. So when we look at quality management, you have to think about long run, you have to think about processes, you have to think about procedures, you have to think about step by step. It is not about attributes. It's not about, I want it to be this wide, this tall, and this high, and all that. Yeah, that one is also quality. That one is product-based quality. Okay, when it's product-based quality, you really look at the product itself, like whether it fits the measurement, it fits the function, and that's it. You see, so it is considered as attribute based. Attribute based is also a definition of quality of the output, but it is not quality management. You cannot define the output of quality management as the product itself. Okay, I mean, how do I put it? You cannot say that whether the product is good, whether the product is being managed properly or not, by just looking at the product at the end of the day. Okay, so this is whereby we emphasize that, quality is not, it is an outcome. At the end of the day, you want the outcome to be customer satisfied, but to get to that outcome, um it's not measured based on that product, but it's measured based on the processes that move things towards that product. Okay, that attribute and that measurement, in a sense. Okay, so quality management, ISO talk about quality management, but ISO is also a quality management tool. Okay, but they are more into documentation. They are talking about more into the um uh like a system of documentation. Okay, so for ISO, they will define quality management. Okay, first the processes and also the product. Okay, so we try not to say the product, we try not to base quality management outcome as a product attribute, but more on the processes that gets to that uh, final product, that not only based on attribute, but that attribute has to be fitting to the customer's requirement. Some certain things may not. It's just like when you look at a girl, or you look at a guy, they may not have the perfect features, but they are still beautiful. So the same thing here, you know, there if you go for attribute completely, then many things in terms of standard we may not fulfill, but then it has to be that final product that meets the customer's satisfaction or requirement, then that is the attribute that is the best. You see, I'm not sure whether whether I'm explaining myself clearly here. That I say I don't want you to specify your quality as an attribute, a final attribute of what things are supposed to be. I mean, even if it's that, we can use that. It's not wrong to use attribute, but it's just we kind of like ignore. We're too focused on the attribute, but we forget that we need to focus on the customer satisfaction and all the processes that goes to it. Um, it's just like I was in Melbourne and there was a building, I think they call it, I don't know, Federation Square or something. If you get off Flinders Street, you definitely can see that building. And then, I mean, the architect who designed it and the engineers who built it, they probably think that they've done a great job, like a fantastic job in that sense, you see, because they go for attributes. The attributes is so special. They use like triangles within triangles. So you've got like 7 triangles or 5 triangles within one triangle, and the triangle make up of another 5 triangles to make a big triangle. So the building has that visual impact. So everybody was concentrating on that attribute. But in the end, a lot of people think that that building looks really ugly. And I think more than 50% of Melbourneian and also anybody who visit there will say that why it looks like a pile of trash, you see? And people will think that, who on earth has such a bad idea to do this, you see? So again, they forget about customer satisfaction. They forget about general people, the end users, the perspective, the visualizations, and also the processes that goes all the way to make that final product, to have that attribute. So don't be too focused on attribute. Attribute can be part of your um, quality management tools, but it cannot be the one and only thing that you call that you use as the outcome of whether you've done a good job or not in terms of quality. Okay. So actually, for ISO and for me as a quality management researchers and academicians and engineers as well, I believe it's a dual thing. It's like a two-way thing. The process needs to be there. You know, and then once the process is there, you need to focus on the process, and the process will not automatically, but it will give you a very high chance that the attribute that you want will be met, and that attribute is what the customers want. Okay, and then you complete the whole process of quality management, and your quality management must do these two things. It's not just focusing on doing the attributes, and forget about the processes. And now, what do we mean by um, processes? How do we develop an effective quality management system? That is something that I think we're supposed to be very concerned with. So now that we've already defined our quality, our level, you've got your what you product, and then you want to develop a quality management system. So I think the first thing about your quality management systems is about quality planning. Okay, so which we've spoken a lot about, and then you've got a pre-recorded lecture on quality planning as well. And basically, uh, for quality planning, okay, you need to know what is your aim, your customers, your objective, and all that. Okay, and then you need to plan for your processes. Okay, and this is the part in quality management that is often overlooked. You don't plan for your processes. And what do you mean by planning for our processes? um to have the final outcome, there's a lot of things that contributes to it. And one of the thing is um the hardcore we go for the hardcore things. Okay, then we go for the soft things. Okay, hardcore things, you need to plan for your resources. So for every product to work the way that you want it to work, or turn out the way that you want it to turn out, and that meets the customers what the customer wants, um, you need to have the right material. Okay, you need to have the right equipment. You need to also have the right skills to do it, and you need to have the money to do it, and you need to have the right method and procedure and processes to do it. So quality planning, you need to plan for your M's, your processes, the hardcore, the hard software and hardware. The hardware is these things. Is that 5 M's? Understand? Huh? I'm not sure if I'm putting everybody to sleep here. It looks like a very calm and soft Saturday afternoon. Everybody is so quiet, and I'm talking and talking myself away. Okay, seems to be. I hope you're okay. Let me check. Nobody's messaging me or anything like that because I'm in the class, so I don't know. Okay, yeah. So if you have anything, just voice out. If you feel like I'm still on page 1 or something, then you have to voice out now. Okay, if my slide is not moving and all that. Okay, right. So hardcore, like how you have software and hardware. Hardware material. Okay, how could if you use a raw material, there's no way that you're gonna get the final product that is right. Huh? Like anything in this world. When we want to build a product, material needs to be right. Like I said, if you go to a tailor, you need to choose your material. You prefer chiffon, you prefer silk, you prefer satin. Leather also have many type of leather. You've got calfskin leather, you've got um caviar leather. You've got leather from a crocodile. You've got leather from the cow or the calf or the bull. I don't know. That I mean, there is a lot of difference. I'm also thinking like, that is because that is certain area of specialties, okay? Even ingredients, food is the same. You open a restaurant, you know, avocado from KK, avocado from Australia, avocado from Philippines, they're different, okay? There is difference in ingredients. Same item, but they will produce different taste, different results, different palette, and colors is the same as well. Different colors, different. Pink can have many shades. Black also can have many shades of black. Okay, you can have pure noir. Like black, black, black. You can have the so black, or you can also have the not so. The black that has a bit of gray in it, the black that has a bit of navy in it. The purple from royal purple to like soft purple to I don't know what other purple you have. I mean, I'm not an artist. Yeah, so the material will make a difference. Do you know that there are certain material, like in terms of color, there's certain materials that is actually unachievable to produce that particular specific colors. And then one of the colors is, I don't know, I think it's called um one of the colors from China, another one color is from Egypt. On those days, those I think it's a kind of like a royal blue or purple that can only produce through a technique that they have, and not normal paint cannot have that color. I think it's a purple, and then or blue, purplish blue. That is royal Chinese, kind of thing. That is on porcelains and all that. And then there's Egyptian brown, or is it orange, or is it one of the color lah, or green? I don't remember, but something like that. That is just impossible to produce. You see, so when you have that material, it will make the difference in the final product. So imagine if you grab hold of yourself with that material, then you will have a piece of painting, you paint your house or whatever. It's going to be vibrant. It's going to be a color that you've never seen before. It's a shade that is cannot be repeated, for example. So you see, again, material, what I'm emphasizing here is material make a lot of difference. So whether you're in construction, whether you're in manufacturing, be very careful on what you specify as a material. Not all material are the same. It's just like not all brass are the same brass. Not all sayur is the same sayur. Not all kangkong is the same kangkong, not all cow is the same cow, you see. So there will be different cuts, different meat, different uh, parts of the meat that is going to give you different texture, and give you different feel and different chewing experience and eating experience and all that. So be very careful with your material. So your material is one of the processes that you need to be very clear about why you're specifying that material and why you need that material to be tested, why you specifically want that specific material. That has to be very clear. All designer contractors have to be very clear, service provider to be very clear what the client wants. Okay, then, well, you can't cook without a fire, so you need equipment. Okay, you've got a perfect material, but you don't have a kitchen, you can't cook. You have a kitchen, you don't have a stove that has big enough fire, no wok hay, people call no wok fire, then your dish is not going to turn out well. Equipment is very important. So when we specify our equipment, when we specify our loaders, our scrappers, when we specify our joining machines, when we specify our generators, it will make a difference in the final product that you're looking at. Okay. And of course, equipment, machinery, tools, especially in terms of craftsmanship, tools is so important. Certain knives, certain angles, certain, like Japanese chef, they will have very, very specific kind of knife to cut their sashimi. Sashimi cannot be just cut like, with any knife in our kitchen, otherwise it's not going to be firm and tender and as one whole piece that comes out. So there's very specific tooling that is required. So certain work require very high tooling, okay? And then high tooling skills. You have that tool, but you need somebody who knows how to operate them. So you will see some operators, some machine operator or some tradesmen or some skills worker. They are very important because it's their tooling skills that will work that tool, and that tool can work on a good material, then it will produce a good product. So if let's say you have a piece of like a big nice stone, like a piece of jade, for example, and it's really a gorgeous piece of material, and it's one of the most perfect, faultless, clear and wonderful and all that material is there. Now you need the right tool, you need the right equipment, the right sanding equipment, the right cutting equipment and all that to be there. Otherwise, you're going to spoil your material. If your tools is a blunter or not sharp, then you're going to chip off the pieces and all that. It's not easy. But even if you have the right tool, you need the right person to do it. I remember seeing a story about Chinese, they call it like what, balls within the balls. I'm not sure if you've seen that before. I'm pretty sure you have. Like how you make a ball. I mean, ball as in bola. They will carve bola. Like, let's say they have a piece of wood or jade or whatever stone, and they will carve that stone to be so thin that within that stone they can carve another ball, and within that ball they will carve another ball, and the maximum in the world that the ball has gone up to is what, 18 balls within the balls kind of thing. And you can imagine, it's so thin, the ball is actually moving inside there, so it has to be so thin that the material has to be able to take it. That's number one. And then number two, the tools have to be all there, but the skilling people, the tool people, the person holding the tool, apparently when you go into the final last few balls, so small, when you're doing the carving, they are literally going by feeling one. They cannot really see what is inside there. It's really to feel, their skills are so good that they can carve, like blind carving tiny balls within those big balls, one by one, into the thickness that is required. So that is as excellence and precision. So craftsman is very important. A good tailor is very important. A good cook is very important. How sometimes we say that you bake a cake, and how come the person, if you give them the recipe, they also cannot bake the way that you bake. Well, that is the reason that the person is very important. Well, you can take over with machine, precision can be helped with machine and all that. But well, in the end, it's still the texture is different, and therefore, not everything can be replaced by machine. Okay, and we still want that touch in that sense. Okay, so when doing your QP, you need to plan for your amps, and of course, with the tools, equipment, and the skills, you need to have the method. Okay, why we say specifically for us project we need method. That is why you do method statement. And why is method statement so important? Because method statement, you're well, because we are not so into, I mean, like our trade, okay, in terms of manufacturing, engineering, our trade is not really in the sense that only one person. It's not a crafting kind of industry. It's not an art craft kind of industry. So therefore, um, you need the method. So meaning that your workers, your supervisors, your contractors, your supplier, they need to have that method. Okay, otherwise they cannot duplicate whatever requirement that you actually wanted, or not, or the product that you produce. Then everything will look a bit of offset, because basically it's done by 5 6 different people. So when you do things by 5 6 different people, you need SOP, you need process, you need procedures, you need method statement. Okay, so essentially, what you need to do, okay, with your with your quality plan, you need to think about all these elements. Okay, and of course, whether you can have the right schools or workmen and all that also depend on how much money you have lah. In this world we know lah, no money no honey lah. Cash is king. No king, no, no nothing. Basic. I mean, no cash, no king, and everything tak jadi lah. Okay, so of course, there's going to be a level of value involved as well. And then that is the hard way of things. Okay, and how do you plan for this hard way? Like you say that the thing talk much so easy, but actually, if you think about it, how do we do it? Okay, so if let's say, let me show you. Okay, say if you're looking at because some of you haven't done project management with me, so you probably don't understand the concept of work breakdown structure. Some of you do, some of you don't. Okay, depending on your practice, basically. But let me show you work breakdown structure, and we can go from there. Where's my example in my project management class? Let me look at. This one is not very good. Let me show you another one. I mean, if you have seen, if you have seen, can you still see the screen? I'm actually on a PDF file now. Okay, you're okay, huh? Uh, yeah, work breakdown, huh? Okay, so you imagine, I mean, I'm giving you the concept, but I'm also giving you a practical way of doing things. Okay, so essentially, if you're doing your quality planning and you're planning all your hard ways, which are the 5 M's, okay, you can base it on your work breakdown structure. Okay, so what you need to do is you take your work breakdown structure, okay, like something like this, which is covered in project management class, and you need to break down your works from into smaller activities. This is called work, okay? Completely called work. No components involved here. So we're talking about, proper carrying out of the work itself, like cutting. This is very verb, driving, work, setting out, it's all about verbing, okay? So you break your work into smaller individual activity into about 3 layers. And each of these layer here, okay, like this is like example of work breakdown. So when you do project management with me, you will do your resources planning. And when we talk about time and cost management, we would normally talk about the numbers of the type of resources and the numbers of resources that you need. Okay, like 10 carpenter, like ceiling worker, door installer, laminator, etc. And then the plant and machinery, for example, and we are always very concerned about the unit, the numbers that you are having. That is time and cost management. But uh, but with quality management, you're talking about their journeys, their type, what exactly that you're looking for in your machinery. So for time and cost, normally you need the numbers so that with the production rate, okay, with the production rate, let's say this bar bender is 8. One bar bender can bend 1 ton of steel a day. You've got 8 bar benders, that means they are doing about 8 tons of steel per day. Okay, so if you have 100 tons of steel, okay, um, divide by 8 tons per day, which is your production rate, then you are looking at about 12 or 15, 12 and a half days to finish up your half 100 tons of steel. So this is how we will obtain our time duration for the project. Okay, and with that duration, 12 days or 12 13 working days, okay, you will actually times it with the rate. Okay, so if one bar bender is about 50 ringgit or 100 ringgit per day, you got 8 bar benders, you're paying about 800 ringgit per day. And 800 ringgit times by 13 days, that is the cost of the bar bender. So that is how we do our cost and time management. From the resources planning, we will come up with the numbers, okay? But we have to understand that time, cost, quality, they are abang adik with one another, okay? So as you do your resources, not only with the numbers, it's also good to put your requirement on your resources. So instead of just putting like numbers, of course, this example is to show you the numbers because we're doing time management here. But let's say you have another column here, okay, and then you put remark on the type of manpower that you want to have, okay, and like let's say bar bender, you can say that I want bar bender that has to have minimum experience of 5 years, or they must be certified, for example. And then because that is the right skilling that you need from your bar bender. Okay, so then you put it down, you put your column here, and then put another remark here on the requirement that you have on your carpenter, bar bender, and your workers and all that. And you can put the requirement remark, something like this, a remark here that talks about what type of machine or what type of machine, what kind of performance is required from your machines, you see, and what kind of work that is supposed to be doing, for example. Then with this remark column, okay, and the quantity column, okay, this is the time that you can think about going back to your time. So imagine if you specify somebody with a higher productivity rate, or with more skills or higher skills, naturally and most likely you have to pay more, correct or not? Okay, you have to pay more. So instead of 100 ringgit per day for your bar bender, you may have to pay 150 per day. And with 8 bar benders, if you times by 150, naturally you'll be looking at about, I think, 1,000 plus, per day. So that will increase your cost by at least 20% or 25%. Okay. So you see, when you put your requirement, your specific requirement on quality next to your numbers, you will see that cost will be affected by quality. So if you want a higher skills or higher material or like material wise, if you have the type, or the journeys or the specifications, the specific make, specific import or specific factory, or certain testing that is actually attached to your material, then when you put in that type, and then the requirement for the type, it will automatically, number one, affect your cost. Okay. And of course, certain especially in terms of uh labor and equipment, it will automatically also affect the production rate. So meaning that if you have more skills workers, you probably work faster. That is one thing. But if it's a very specific skills that you must have, and it will take time to do, so it will affect production rate. It's just like you're doing tiles. Tiles is something that I can see that, with high level of skills and with low level of skills, there's going to be a lot of difference. Okay. So with a worker that can do high level skills, that means they're very careful, they're very good with cutting, they're very good with the measurement, they're very good with the pasting and all that. It may take longer because the numbers of person that you can find to do the job may not be that many. So instead of 8 bar bender or a tile layer, you can only have 5, because in the market there isn't that many, for example, that is at your disposal, because you want that quality, you want that skills, you see. So it will affect your production rate. So sometimes quality can slow down time, quality can also speed up time. Okay, so really I cannot say exactly, but you must know it will affect time, because the production rate will be affected. And when the production rate is affected, the quantity of material or the amount of work is the same. So when you divide by the quantity of material or the quantity of work, the quantity of work, the production rate is output, output over time. So time is equal to output over production rate. So if your output will not be, the output is the same. If you have like 5 units of houses, that 5 unit will not be reduced. It will still be 5 units, of tiles that you need to put in. Yeah. And then, but the production rate will be affected. And that is where time will be affected. Okay. So lower production rate means that the time will be longer. Higher production rate means that the time will be shorter. Then when the time is affected, money is affected. Then the quality, obviously, like I said, if you are putting in high quality, certain thickness or higher thickness or certain colors, or whatever that you're going for, you be specific, you put remark next to your quantity. And then after that, you automatically, from that remark from the table, you can see how your quality will be affected. You see? So how your cost will be affected. So quality will directly affect cost. True or not? Definitely lah. Like there will be a difference between a 5 ringgit handphone and a 5,000 handphone, but obviously maybe sometimes not as much as we think lah. But then because a lot of branding, like for example iPhone and or branded stuff like Nike, Adidas, and all these sort of like expensive, same thing, same shoes, but then the branding is very strong. Usually there is money in marketing. So you'll be looking at 60% of your money, or 50 to 60%, or even 40 is the minimum that company will put into marketing. So it's really like, why Nike can sell the shoes for like 1,500, Nike A, or 2,000 something, per shoes, and some teenagers and some young boys were really going crazy over it. Well, it's not really like when you wear the shoes, you can really fly like Michael Jordan. definitely there are some technology there, of the air cushion and all that. You make you more comfortable, you make your feet grow better and all that sort of thing. Yes, there's proprietary quality elements in there, but it does not worth. It is not going to worth the amount of money without that Nike thick brand on it. Like that thick on it. Just do it. Because Nike put in millions and billions of dollars into having spokespersons, having branding and all that. So quality, sometimes you have to be very careful. Are we looking at, branding, or are we looking at, product that is really a good product? Huh? So when we talk about machines, equipment, people, and all that, make sure that this is really hardcore product. Not to say that because it's actually from somewhere, or actually from somewhere is bad, or from somewhere is not good, and from somewhere is better. Like that does not necessarily means that uh Japanese is really that good. I mean, usually there are, because there is quality assurance to it, but not necessarily. So we need to be very careful on what we actually want. Do we want a branded product, or do we want a branded? I mean, like, I'm pretty sure in the market, even like roofing car, or even car brands, certain product will actually be more expensive. The same level, same category can be very expensive, because it's the commercial value in terms of marketing that the company actually put into their product. Okay, so that is a bit of a sideline here, lah, how that I actually want to mention. All right. So then you see, remarking your remark, or no remark on your resources. Okay, and that will affect money, M's, and that will affect time as well. And obviously, you will also need to have the right method. Document everything, and document the method statement uh, that you to be used to handle this material product, and the material, the equipment, and also the individuals that are required. So that is pretty much of the work method statement that we will usually write now. So you can do a table like this as well. Description of your work. Instead of productivity rate and all that, you can also add column, or you can change it to material, amps, manpower, material, manpower, machineries, and then you list down the requirement. So if you list down the requirement for each individual item. I mean, don't look at this, because this is another example that we have for a time management. But then, your table can look something like this, and then you can actually take note and specify the level or quality that you want, or the brand, or the skills, or the performance that is required, out from this particular activity. I mean, out from this particular uh, um, um, sorry, I should be showing you here. Yeah. So out of this particular activity, what is the material, what is the labor, what is the machinery, and everything that you want, so that you can put it here, like in terms of your, I mean, like, I prefer to, describe the product, I mean, describe what you want to do, and then, like, this can be like your work method statement kind of thing, like some very brief steps of doing things, and then you can put your material column, you can put your machinery column, you can put your manpower column, and you specify the skills, or the brand, or the unit that you not unique, the requirement on the performance of the machineries and all that, the precision, the blade, the cutter, and everything. So put that down in the table like this. Like I said, with this reference, it's easier for you to overlap and look at the unit with the production rate that will actually produce costing. I mean, that will actually be affecting your schedule later, because, like I said just now, when you have production, when you have high skills worker, better machinery will usually reduce time. It will have better performance, less breakdown, better performance. And then, but talking about skills workers, sometimes because the quantity of skilled workers may not be there, may not be available, so that can actually reduce the production rate. But that is like increasing time, but the quality is improved because you're using the skilled workers, okay? And material wise, of course, you can specify the brands, which I would say be very careful, because like I said, the better the brands are branded, the better things is branded. Yes, they may have some very, very good proprietary items inside there, but it could be the marketing that they have done, that they're putting a lot of money into marketing, and that makes the product very expensive. Okay, and I think this is some of the elements that we need to take note lah, in that sense lah, huh? When we write our instead of like you see, up until now, I'm pretty sure you are very surprised that, how come the thing hasn't even mentioned the word specification. Really, specs is really a very old story already. In terms of quality planning, you should plan not writing specs, but you should plan like what I did. Get some tables like this. From these tables, from a table like this, do your work method like a brief step of work, and then put your requirement on your machinery, labor, and put your requirement on your resources, and then from there look at the time, look at the cost as well, and see whether maybe you can put a requirement there, and then you find out it's so expensive, so you may not be able to put that requirement in as well, because money is not there. Okay, or it will increase the cost too high that the client is not accepting it, so then you may have to reduce this your requirement on on certain products, or on certain, or you may have to find another brand, or you may have to change to another item, similar item, but it's actually cheaper, and it can function, but it may be like a bit less, like they call it the OEM, sometimes, like, bring it to China and they can do something similar, but then, when the other guy sell it, it's like 550 ringgit, but the OEM one, it can perform the same, just they don't have the brand, that is like 20 ringgit. So you can go for the OEM brand as well, but there is no guarantee, there is no assurance to it lah, huh? Then, but it actually brings the money down more. So again, what I'm talking about here, as a project manager, like you guys, okay, who will be graduating, you're here to learn something, um, we are wanting to focus you to be able to apply the things that you've learned, and not just so much on dot, 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 and then in the end, like a manager, it's like you really need to be able to, see the thing and apply the thing well, and that can actually help you to proceed with your career a bit better, and make you a better project manager, or better engineering manager in that sense, or CEO and all that. So, right, so like, it is always that balance that I need to emphasize on. Is not quality, is just not, oh, I want quality, I want quality, I want quality, or I don't want quality, I don't want quality, I want it to be cheap and good. Yeah, they are interrelated with time and cost, and time and cost will affect quality, and quality will affect time and cost. Okay, so that is the gist of the story. Okay, so then, so now that you've gotten your, you've put down the steps, and all that. I mean, we put down your requirements for the machineries and whatnot, and all that. Okay, now you go back to uh the method. Okay, method wise, there are many tools that you can use. Okay, and one of the tools that I actually um yeah, there are many tools here, so you'll be looking at some techniques here. For example, I myself are very into this tool. I feel like this tool, flowchart, is a very good tool, okay, for you to actually uh do your work method statement. Okay, because flowchart is a very visual way of establishing the quality processes. So you can say that, okay, in your PQP, for example, now that you have done that table, or the Excel worksheet on the requirement for your resources, okay, you can convert that and write specs with it. Okay, and instead of specification that is written by copying your specs from left, right, and center, which is very common among consultants and designers, and they do not really think about why they want to specify the particular item the way it is. But it's only through your table, your Excel worksheet, that resources, the hardware planning, the planning for that resources, that you can see why is it necessary to have that level of quality for your final product. I mean, like it contributes to the final product. So you must have that in your mind and just not write. A lot of very sad things is a lot of times, because it's not based on work breakdown structure, specification are just copy and paste from different eras, and then not really modified to your own project. So it end up like not fitting to the project that you are actually handling. So that's why I'm very careful with talking about specification. So I prefer you look at your table, you look at what you are requiring, and individual work that requires individual resources, like, for example, concreting, for example, bar bending, for example, in your work breakdown, you go by the activity and you need what sort of resources, then you put that down in your specification if you want to. Okay. Then the next thing is the work method statement, which, yes, just now I said, put some short note on your work flow, on your description, so that it reminds you of certain steps that is so important that you must have it. It's just like you cannot cook rice in 10 minutes. 15 minutes is required, certain level of water is required. You cannot bake a cake. You cannot put in a cake and put it in the oven and then bring it out and expect it to be cooked. You cannot do that. Okay. I know there's instant freezer, but you also cannot freeze ice just like that. So a lot of things takes time. It will take some proper steps, in order for you to get that final product. So it's important to understand that. Okay, so certain steps cannot be skipped. It's just that when you cook something, you cannot, like if you want to cook a rendang, for example, like Christmas time is coming. Some people are cooking rendang. And then it's like, if you don't have a pressure cooker, then you cannot cook your rendang in half an hour. The meat will not cook, it will not soften, it will not be drop off the bone kind of feel. So time is required, the process is required, the ingredient is required. So you must get that process right. Okay. So what we are emphasizing here is, besides knowing what type of resources that you need, which you can actually convert to your specification later on. Okay, obviously, we need to communicate to the uh, supplier and also the service provider or the builder that is in our project, who will deliver the product. We need to tell them this is what we want them to do. This is what we want them to give us. This is the product. Okay, or this is the item, or this is the material, or this is the like skills. You need to have trained workers. I need to have, your site needs to give me like licensed, certified main layer, bar benders and all that. So welder and all that. So we need to see license from you all. You see, so then it's already specified. It's already specified in your document. So documents are really like a language. Drawing is a language. Specification is a language. BQ is a language. It's like you have to make the service provider and the builder understand what is expected of them. Okay. So when you do your specification, you can look at your table and then you can write accordingly. Okay, and then you already understand that this portion is very important to you as the designer or as the person specifying it. You know exactly why you want that. So when you do control and monitoring later, you can be flexible if you want, but you can be very inflexible if you want, because you know what matters to the final outcome. Certain things, I see a lot of engineers, a lot of very silly, we call it, engineers who will, bite on things that is not important, or they are so inconfident that they'll bite on everything and they think that everything is important, and then in the end the work doesn't jalan, the things doesn't move, the project doesn't move, because people don't know what to focus on. So when you write your specs based on the table that you've done, you know what matters and what don't matters, or what matter less lah. Everything matters, but it's just what matters less, what kind of things that maybe can have remedial action and thing will still be fine, and this is the point that we are trying to do. We are trying to communicate the specs. So drawings is like pictures, and drawings will also have some wordings to describe the wordings, I mean, to describe, and it will be read in conjunction with the specification. So people need to understand through this language of drawings and specs. And VQ is more on the some of the writing, and also very majorly it will be the item, the quantity that will actually be communicated through the how much work they need to do, you see, for the contractor or the service provider, that they need to work on that quantity a bit more lah, huh? So you see, these are all language, these are all documents that will actually be part and parcel um of your project documentation that is related to quality. Okay, then so after that, okay, in your planning, that once you've done that, you've written your specs, okay, so you can now proceed to write your work method statement. And many times we will get the contractor to write, or the service provider to write their own method statements, because you will feel like they are the one doing the job, let them write, but the designer needs to agree with it, because in the end, the outcome is what you want it to be. You see, you spoke to the client, you know what they want, you know what color they want, you know what exactly that they're looking for. Then your work method statement that the contractor gives you, it must be able to fit that. If I'm the contractor, obviously I want to write less, because the more I write, the more I'm committing myself. I'm actually tying my 2 feet and my 2 hands with what I write. So I might as well write less. So as the designer, as the project leader, you need to be sure that the process is correct. So by having a flow chart, you can actually draw out your process. And that is nice in that sense, you see. So when you draw, it's a very visual thing. People can look at it. So when you do your quality manual, which is your quality plan, you can have your quality manual. So in your manual, like you can have your uh 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 you can have your many items in your quality manual. So quality planning. Yeah, let me see. What else? Quality manual. It's my quality manual. Okay. Yeah. So in your quality manual, you need to put down what I did just now, the table. I mean, that table is a beginning, that is two lah, huh? And that table will put down the standards, the regulations, the requirement. So in your quality manual, you will also have not only your specs, the specs will come with the standards, with the with the standards that you're looking for, with the regulations. Certain things can be maybe regulated. You cannot have that because it's against the law or against the regulation by the agency. And then of course you can have policy, your quality policy, which is your overall aim and objective and that sort of things, so what you're looking to achieve. So your quality manual will have that. You have to have your list of your system element outlines, meaning that what I told you just now, your work breakdown with your requirement, your standards, your regulations that has to be met in terms of your resources, in terms of your work method. So the list of procedures, okay? So that is your quality plan, okay? And then from your quality plan, inside your quality plan, you also must have, like with different works, for example, with different activities. Some activities you can have flow charts, okay? And flow charts here will list down, is combining your procedures with standards, with your requirement, okay? And another part that must be there is testing, okay? So we can specify we can specify a lot of things. You can say, oh, I want it to be this standards. It has to be salt water standards. It have to be whatever standards. It have to be world standard. It have to be World Health Organization standards. It have to be UNESCO standard. You can have a lot of standards. You can have a lot of requirement. It's all specified there. But how do you measure it? This is the thing that in QP you need to actually do quality. You need to do testing. You need to do checking. What is the measurement? What is the rubrics? What is the how do you know when things are out of range? So this is the part that is combined on the design of experiment. I call it design of experiment, but actually it's like, what is the measurement here? It's just like when you design an experiment, you need to say, okay, if this thing is moving, like if you do a friction test, then it has to move. It cannot move up to what angle? Let's say you're testing tire, for example. So then you put the tire on the slope, like 1 meter. Sorry, 15 degrees. Then you go up to 18 degrees. You go up to 20 degrees. You go up to 35 degrees. So what is your measurement of not sliding, like your tire has good friction, for example. So then you need to be very clear about what level, what outcome that you're looking at. Okay, so you say, I want that material. So is it yes, deliver, or no? Can you have a separate brand? And then if you have a separate brand from different country, for example China, then you may want to put in there very specifically what are the measurement. So meaning that if the measurement that you need is the certification from China national standards, or their measurement from their what is their measurement. Like for example, students also can now, we have got international students, and then they say that, okay, I achieve whatever CGPA, but the CGPA standard is different from our standards. So we need to know what is the measurement. We're measuring with our own standards. So when you come and you say that I am CGPA of 4, but actually CGPA of 4 in other countries is only about 75%, 75 marks kind of thing, so that means it's our CGPA of about 3.33, for example. So you need to go by measurement. So measurement is very important. So every flow chart, every processes, not only you list down the step of procedures of doing things, you need absolutely to put in there what is your measurement. And it has to be as objective, as number-based as possible. Otherwise, it's going to get really subjective. We do not want any subjective kind of measurement. So I feel like this is good. I feel like this is not good. I don't like it. It doesn't suit my mood. When I see it, I know it's wrong. No, cannot. It has to be measured. It's just like when you say that the wall is crooked. What is supposed to be crooked? What is the measurement of crooked? Is it more than 3 degrees curve is crooked? What is that? What is that limit? What is the upper limit? What is the lower limit? What is the in-between thing that we can accept? And what is the out of the range? And of course, one very good tools that we can use is testing. Okay, so testing, sending things for testing, slump test, concrete test, cube test, compressive test, tensile test, taking random items for tensile test, putting specification on birth cert, for example, meal cert for birth cert lah. So some you need to have certificate from certain country or certain lab, certain calibrated lab for certain product. So these are very important. You need to be certified. So when you do your method of statement, you need to combine with design experiment and flow chart. Okay, and that to design the processes that include measurement. And then when it don't meet that measurement, when you do the testing and it doesn't meet certain level of measurement or certain range of measurement, you will say, okay, reject. Go to step 2, redo until you get that numbers. So you see, that is your SOP, not just writing specification, not just like contractor punya or just service provider punya catalog or the contractor punya work method statement, and you say this is quality management of quality. It's not like that. Okay, so your quality plan, your quality management systems must include these sort of elements, the elements of requirements, standards, and all that based on your resources, okay, and then your processes that based on the measurement, testing, range, and the workflow, and that include into the processes of rejection, rejection and what is not allowed, what's allowed, what is the range of acceptance, what is a good range, what is a lousy range, what is considered excellent, what is considered as medical, what is considered as acceptable, what is considered as unacceptable. You see? So when you got all these standards in place, or we call it ranges and objectivity in place, it's going to be a lot easier for you to manage your project. True or not? Because if you imagine you go to site, quality in construction is always based on inspection. You just draw circles, this I don't like this, we do this, and then you come up with NCR, non-compliance report, and then telling the contractor to redo, a service provider to reject their product and bring it home and all that. It's a lot of time is subjected to dispute because you don't have the proper numbers, and you also don't have the proper standards attached in the first place. You did not communicate the items very clearly to a supplier or a service provider with the flow chart, with the SOP, with the range of rejection and all that. And it gets very hard to work, especially for junior engineers who are just into the job. It's like, the contractor say this is can or not, I'm not so sure, you see, because in the first place, you do not properly specify that, your ranges, your processes, your checking, your requirement, and also your ranges of numbers of what pass, what fails, and all that. So I think that is quality planning. So basically, the output of quality planning is the metrics, very important. Okay, the checklist. Okay, baseline, which is what you want things to be. Okay, and then updating. Okay, plan is what I say just now. What is the requirement and all that that you want you put onto your resources. Okay, and these are the then of course we talk about specifications. This is really not so, to me it's not so important. So make sure that you get things right, and with that you can write your specification, whether you want it to be a method specification or performance specification, or is a fit for its intended purpose kind of specification. It's all pretty much up to the individual, honestly. Okay, and so that is what we're doing in quality planning. And then you will see that one part of quality planning, there's a very important element. Okay, before I go to that, okay, no, I think I should finish up this. So is it that there is a important element here of planning to check. So planning to check with the right metrics, plan to check these two. So in your quality plan, you have these two things there. Okay. So when you have these two things there, okay, you are actually doing QA. Okay, QA, QC. QA, QC is not, QC is not check. QC is basically control. Okay, QA is having planning for the metrics and actually checking. So how do you want things to be checked? How frequently you want to be checked? How many samples are you taking? So the checking, planning to check, planning for the metrics, planning for the testing, and doing, this is the part in the quality plan. This is half of quality assurance, because you've got that metrics, you've got that checklist. You understand? So if I were to draw a graph, if I were to draw a picture, it means that QP and QC, they are next to one another. Plan, and then if things doesn't go well, you control, that is QC. In between the two of them is actually QA. Half of QA belongs to QP, half of QC, another half of QA belongs to QC. But obviously, a lot of people like to say QA, QC, QA, QC. Because why? Not to say they forgot, but they don't understand that planning the metrics, planning the checking is also part of QA. Because by having that metrics, by having that range, by having that objectivity in your checking already in place in your quality plan, you are essentially giving an assurance to your end user. So it's just like me asking, if I want to eat this supplement or eat this product, or I want to go to this restaurant, you know, maybe I want to find out whether, the supplements itself has already, they will have international checking, and that their product cleanliness that is up to certain, they will use ingredients that are checked by World Health Organization, they will check by KKM, for example, that is not polluted. So you see, by reading that by reading that checklist, by reading that standards that is available within that particular QP, within the particular product, in a way I'm talking about product now. Like, by reading it, you say, oh, okay, not bad. I think these people, they have passed through KKM, and KKM has that checking, this checking, this checking, checking. So KKM has done all these things like serum. They have done the testing on this. So is serum certified? Oh, okay. Because of the metrics and the checklist and the checking, the planning to check, and the standard of checking, and the ranges of checking and passing and all that is in place, you are actually giving half of assurance. You see? So quality assurance, okay, half of it is quality planning to check. Okay, to put it very simply, is planning to check. Okay, then the other half is quality check. So in your quality assurance, is like, are you achieving it? Your plan, are you checking and achieving it? Okay, are you monitoring? Are you carrying out audits? And these are checking part. So if you know that, yes, you have a plan, and this KKM do check, they will take samples, serum do check and take samples and all that, and out of 100 samples, what of like 100,000 product, they will take like 100 samples randomly every 5 months. They will check. Then they do it, and then if it fails, then the license or the brand will get penalized, and all that. So you give that assurance. Overall assurance is about the effort to actually, within the QMS, the effort within the QMS to put in the metrics, put in the numbers, put in the checking, and then put in the audit, the effort to continuously, and disciplinedly carry out the checking. And then there are some regulations. If you fail, you will be kicked out, you will be rejected, and if more time, then your whole company, your whole brand will be destroyed, for example. So that is how we give assurance. And that is what brands are playing on as well. They're playing on that assurance. Because you are wearing our product, you'll be more healthy. Because we've done very stringent check on our material. We've done very stringent check on our workman. We've done very stringent check on everything. And we plan for it, we've got a range for it. We do not allow, if certain things to that limit fail, then we will not allow it. So you're actually giving the, so I buy a product, I actually, all this has already been done, so I don't have to worry. I don't have to come home and drink it or eat it or use it, and I feel like, hey, something is not right. Maybe they haven't. Are we sure that this is right? It's just like, if you buy something from China, from Taobao, and from Shopee and all that, sometimes it's very cheap. So you bring it home, you don't know what has been, what kind of check and order has been done. So if let's say you buy from Panasonic, you buy from certain brands, and thank you ga, or you want to buy from whatever branding or handphone branding, like, and then that they have done very stringent checks, and they have got stringent limitations and ranges and all that, then that work has been done very consistently, then you are not worried. So I mean, if I may have, I may buy a plug, and then I will burn my whole house, kind of thing. So that assurance, that is the meaning of quality assurance, ladies and gentlemen. Not QA/QC, QA/QC, and everybody treat QA/QC like going to site and check, reject, reject, reject. That is not QA/QC. QA is about having plans to check, having having the regulations in place, and the frequencies of checking. You plan for the metrics, you plan for the ranges, you plan for the rubrics, the numbers, and all that. And then you actually do the quality monitoring, the checking, the audits, and all these things are part of QA. So this is QA monitoring, and then QA, like planning to check, all the way to checking it. And then QC is the part that you will control, meaning that when you see the data using all the quality control tools, which you have learned from Dr. Shelley, I believe, the Pareto diagram, fishbone histogram, you're finding out the reason why you're not fulfilling it, you see. And yeah, you're not fulfilling the requirement, and therefore you want to bring it back to you want to bring it back to your original standards, for example, and then that is QC. See, so control, not quality check. So don't take QA/QC like going to site for inspection and checking. QA/QC is more than that. Okay, QA/QC involves planning, it involves checking, then finally it involves control, and it will close up the whole circle. And these are some of the checklists that I pick up from different the flow chart that I pick up from different places. So it's always quite nicely done if you do it well. So you will put in certain a triangle, which means certain whole point. You can use the concept of whole point. And I think whole point means that, whole weight, we are doing some checking here. Whole weight, we're doing some checking here. And then after that, but we'll move on. So different checklists, different flow chart will spell out not only the processes of doing things, okay, and you will have that not trapezium, we call it now, something like a trapezium, a diamond, we call it diamond, and this diamond is your whole point. It's the part that you say, hold it, I need to check. Then if it's approved, you do what? If it's reject, you do what? So these are what we call QA/QC. So especially this whole point concept is for QA/QC. So it's for that QA purpose. So you're planning in your flowchart to have all these diamonds all over the place, all over different important segments, the important journey, segments of your journey, to hold it and say that, okay, now before I let you proceed to the next level, we must get results, we must get testing result, we must get certificates, we must get measurement, and then after that, if it pass our ranges, then you go on. If you cannot pass our ranges, you hold on. You need to redo certain tests, or you need to pick up some more samples or whatever. And then of course QC is a part that when you already do checking, you're going to have a lot of data, and that's where you want to find out what are the reasons behind the failures, what are the reasons behind things are not fulfilling the certain standards or not fulfilling certain range consistently, and you want to know what exactly is the reason behind it, and you want to rectify from the root of the problem. This is basically to bring things back, like find out something's wrong, but you need to rectify it immediately. But then in the long run, the data needs to be checked. It needs to be compiled, study, and you need to do QC. You see, you need to do control. Okay, so there's an immediate control, and there's also a long-term control. Not to say that the immediate control is wrong, but immediate control is important because our project is ongoing, time and cost is there already. So we need to find solution to rectify immediately. That is quality control. But long-term quality control will take all the data, study the data, and say that, okay, something is not right here. Is it one of our machine that is not calibrated properly, or is it one of our equipment that is not clearly fitting the requirement? Probably can't use that anymore. Okay, and then, or it's maybe creating things that are too big for whatever product that we have here in Malaysia, etc., etc., etc. So, or maybe the skill or workmen are not standardized, and therefore you've got certain part of the job that is not clearly something is not right. So these are control. Okay, so QMS is to have all these elements. So as long as you have all these elements, you can actually do your quality management. Okay, and that is part of the dose. Okay. The second part of the notes is the last part of the notes is actually on TQM, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So TQM, I'll be very quick about this. We'll take another 10 minutes, okay, or we just finish it up. So TQM here actually is talking about is a concept. Okay, so TQM is about delivery process and completed outcomes. So it's a concept of it's a QMS system. Okay, it's a very unique approach that is people orientated, and TQM is what I was going to cover just now. We have the hardware, but we must have the software also. Software means that for all this for your QMS to jalan, whatever system that you have, there's a lot of hardware, but the person using it, is the success factor. So TQM is the kind of approach that you're using. You're playing with software. You're talking about leadership. You're talking about in a company, your leaders need to care about quality. You need to talk about long-term commitment. You need to talk about customer driven. You need to talk about long-term. You need to talk about being very disciplined. And then you need to look at reviewing your project by project. That discipline to review the project and make it better the next time. So it's very people oriented. There must be a mindset change in your organization for your QMS to be able to jalan. Otherwise, the person who designed it, he's the only one working on it, or his team is the only one working, and everybody is not listening to him or her. It's a very tiring process, and this is where QMS always fail. Why fail? Because of this software. So software, we talk about TQM. This is a management approach. It's a people approach. It's a people approach to implement your QMS. So make it a point that in your characteristic, you need to understand that TQM has leadership, customer focus, the culture, the focus on processes and how individuals are actually committed. It's a mindset change. Your workmen, your workers, your operators, your machine, they need to care about quality. They need to understand what they're going to get out of it. They need to be motivated to work together with you. Otherwise, it's a very lonely journey. QMS is a very lonely journey. Whatever system that you may have, you have all the software, but you don't know how to use this weapon, your software, your hardware well. You need to have good software to use it, and that software is people. The people running the show, the people who are committed to the project, the commitment, the embracing of that mindset that can actually make it a success. So it's like you have A, you've got a wonderful A, but you do need B, to support your A so that it's going to be really successful. So TQM is a concept that we want to make it part of our it's like making people change their mindset to have a culture that everybody understand why your QMS is important and why you're so strict on certain things, why you're so inflexible on certain things, because you are focused on certain culture. You're focused on certain um, what we call on certain regulations and outcome that you need to, and they are willing to work with you in the process. And the leaders, because for engineers, a lot of us, we are in the middle management. Sometimes we get headache from the lower people, the factory workers, from the construction workers. But we also get big headache from our bosses as well, who just basically don't care about, they care about making money, but they don't care about delivering good products. You see? So if you have that kind of people around you, then your QMS, no matter how good you do your QMS systems, you will in the end lost that discipline, you lost that drive. And the worst is with quality management is discipline. No discipline, you lost it as you go along, and that is very painful. So you start off with a big bang, you really want to do it, but in the end you end up with and then finish off, and then you forget about it. The next project, bang again, and then end up nothing again. So there's no transfer of knowledge, there is no improvement that is made, there is no knowledge retention and passing down the knowledge to make our industry better and better and better and better in that sense. So now industry are getting more and more complicated. There are more and more individuals, there are more and more players and all that. We don't want to go for price war. We want to be able to sell and sell product that is specialized and sell skills that are specialized. Otherwise you can do it. ABC also can do it. FGH also can do it. So where is your specialties? Then you cannot sell your product. There is no specialties, actually, no specific specialties. Or it's cheap, no? Cheap, then okay, like China, cheap. If cheap, then no problem, no. People buy because it's cheap. But you see why European Americans, they are expensive. So they sell one, China needs to sell 200. You see? So that is that concept of focusing on quality. The other one is focusing on fast and cheap. Then that is the outcome lah. Okay, so portal quality management is a mindset lah. It's a concept that is mindset that has different elements, that is software for your QMS. Understand? Okay. All right. So I think that's all. I think this is basically wrapping up of the project quality management, which is based on a system that needs to have some complementary software like TQM to actually support it. It's the people that will make it successful at the end of the day. All right. So any questions so far? Are you guys okay? Are you enjoying the class, or are you sleeping already?
No question for now.
Anything else I can help you with? Okay, for my exam question, Dr. Shirley will definitely share with you later on. I think she will give you some briefing, but I can give you my briefing here now. So some of you who are sleeping, can you wake up now? Later on, don't ask me to repeat again my exam question. I have one exam question. There will be three exam questions. One is from me. And can you imagine? I only teach you for 2 class. I have an exam question. Okay. So good luck lah, huh? My exam question is not small. My exam question is actually quite big. So it is going to be based on QMS. Okay. So I want you to be able, you can even go and prepare your writing now if you want to. I don't see any harm in doing it, because it's really the application that matters. It's not about how good you are at hafaling my notes that is important. I need you to write a project that is in your hand, and how you create your QMS for your project. And your explanation needs to include QP, QA, QC. So you can even give example of one of your processes, for example, piling, for example, doing a cap for manufacturing or something. Then that processes, how do you plan? What do you include in that plan? How do you do the testing? How do you do the metrics? And then from there, how do you do your policies, manual, everything, your 3Ms, the table, everything you can write. And then after that, from there, what is your QA? What is your QC? So you need to explain every element according to your project activity. Okay. Then of course you have a very short question on the software bit, which is TQM. I think I have the TQM bit, if I'm not wrong, about like what is the element of TQM that will actually affect your QMS. So it's like first you need to have you need to create that QMS, and then how your TQM actually support your QMS. And I think there's a very generic question at the back. I mean, like a very general opinion kind of question, which I give like a free, like a bonus marks. I think it's 3 marks or something at the end that talks about your opinion on something, something, something on this, on your issues, on whatever, something like that. But that one is like for you to goreng one. That third part is for you to goreng one. But the first part of your QMS and your TQM, that bit really you have to study. I hope that you can maybe listen back to my notes. I mean, look at my notes and listen back to the recording today. Maybe you can create a page of writing, of something like that, and then you can sort of like learn to write that essay first, like 1.5 page essay or 2 page essay or whatever, because you'll have 3 hours and there's other questions to answer as well. So my part maybe about a page or so, one and a half or so. Uh, you can draw diagrams, you can draw your tables, you can draw your, you can draw your tables and put like, okay, I put a requirement here, and this one will convert it to specification, and this one will include a flow chart, and this flow chart will have what, and have that whole point, and that whole point stop, and then after that go back to where, and then that is a QP with the QA inside, and then what is the other part of QA to do the quality check. So how frequently are you doing the check? How much check are you going to do? And what are the fair, what is acceptable, and all that, and then control. What do you do in control? Like you take the data and you use like histogram GAR, or you use fishbone diagram to find out the root causes of the problem. And then all this is supported with the elements of TQM, which is leadership, commitment, change management, etc., etc., etc. So you need to write a few sentences, a few sentences, a few sentences. So I think you probably end up with about 2 pages. It's quite a big question. So I'd rather you prepare first, to be truly prepared first before you sit for the exams. Okay. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of writing for my part, honestly speaking. Okay. All right. So that is my tips for you. I've basically given you the questions already. So please be well prepared. If you want to write something and show it to me by email, I'm more than happy to take a look for you and comment accordingly. Okay. All right, huh? If there's nothing else, we call it a day. Anyone else still needs QR code attendance? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hmm? Jessica, how come you have got 2? Wait, how many of you are there? How come the participants, let me see. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So anyone else need to do your QR code? Okay. Who else is supposed to be in the class and you're not? I've only got 10% here who has the QR code. I'll read up, I'll see who else is got lah. Okay. I know Natalina cannot come today because she is having something at home. But I'm not quite sure who else is not here. I mean, I hope that you go all can do well lah. I mean, I am worried because you guys are quite quiet, and I don't really know your standards as well that well. Some of you I have been with you before, some of you I don't. Okay, and you know my style lah, huh? I mean, I hardly would just. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm a strict person or that I'm, so bad. I mean, I'm not saying that I want to kill people, like I'm a hard lecturer or something like that. But to me, it is very important that I have that sense of that if you fail, you fail. I cannot, I cannot bring myself up to rubbish and simply close my eyes and pass people. This is simply not my way of doing things, you see. I don't do that for my undergraduate. I don't do it for masters, especially individual like yourself who has responsibilities outside in the outside world as engineers, as QS, as managers, So I think you need to be qualified. You walk out here and you are qualified. Oh, okay. No more. I cannot clock in anymore. I don't know why, because there's no group that is showing up. This thing is really annoying. Sometimes it happens. And anyway, so I've only got 10 people. And any one of you still need hitting in? Can you tell me? If not, then I will just leave it as a day gone by already, huh? Some of you are just quietly here. What do you mean by not emitting 10? And then emitting 9? Oh well, so the one some of you are not here. Are you saying that you're physically not here or mentally not here? Okay. So all right. Have a good day,
Doctor,
everyone.
Doctor,
Enjoy yourself. And if got question, ask. Don't question. Bye bye.
I have a question, Doctor.
Yes.
It's regarding the exam tip that you just give just now. You said we have to write a project, how to create a project like a testing policy might include the QPA, QA, and QC. So we need to during the exam we need to give scenario, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not going to be sitting down there writing tons of theory that you copy from my notes. It has to be application.
All right.
So you need to have a project. You need to describe a very short project, like a very small project also can. You don't have to write like 10 pages on the project. It's not like assignment. You don't have time for that. So just like maybe you can describe a bridge project, a road project, or something like that. Where to where. Just 2-3 sentences on what the project is all about. And then what are some of the activities in the project? And then from there, how your QP, what is your QMS? How your QMS actually cater for those activities, for example.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is QP, QA, and QC.
All right.
So your writing has to be based on true activities, okay? Not just QP, QP is this, you must have this, but it's not related to your activities. It has to be related to your activities to gain the marks. If you give me tons of theory, yeah, you probably pass 65 maybe, but then that means I can only give you marks for good memorization, but application wise, you're not there. Are we done? And any
Yeah.
other
Okay.
questions? Jessica, are you okay?
Yeah. Okay. Already.
Sorry, my laptop is a bit soft. I don't know why. I can't really hear you, so I have to go really close. You all can hear me, no problem, right? Hello, you all can hear me, no problem, right?
Yes.
Yeah, can be like after the whole class, then you can say, doctor, I can't hear you all this while. Peng sang nanti. Okay, Husna, are you okay? Hamiza, are you okay? Azling, are you okay? Law Changjun, Junie,
Yeah. Okay.
Gabriella.
They're all good.
Oh, good, huh? Okay. For exam wise and everything, you all can still email me. Okay. Like I say, if you really wish to, let me have a look at your writing. Maybe just a quick draft of what you have come up with for the exam. Then maybe this is how you can revise my question. Then if you really want, you can email me. But like I said, I won't be around until the 2nd. So I'll be back in the office on the 2nd, and your exam is probably on the 3rd or the 4th already. So that could be an issue lah. If you want to, better give it to me before Christmas. I think would be better. But like I said, I'm going to be away, which is completely this time. I'm going to be away until that. You probably can't reach me. That's the problem. There will be a few days that I won't be available online at all. So, but then on the 30th onwards, I probably would have lines already. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you want to show me something, you can email me. I will try to reply ASAP. Okay. Via email lah. In that case, putting it in WhatsApp also can, but WhatsApp is a bit difficult for me to reply in a long way. It's just going to be very short kind of reply. So improve more on this, write more on this and that kind of thing lah. But then, if email, I probably can, write a little bit more, like a paragraph. So that would be the best lah. But if you all want to see me, if you really, really want to see me, then yeah. Yeah, if you really, really want to see me, you can actually see me. I'm in Kuching on the 31st already, but first is still a holiday. And I think some of you are doing your RP presentation as well, so I'm not sure how that will work out. But like I said, first and second will probably be the best time. No? If you want to write to me, maybe first and second will be a good time. Okay. Otherwise, third and fourth is the exam already. Yeah. Then I reply also no use already. Kaput already. When is your quality exam? Third or fourth? Hello? Yeah, third or fourth?
Third,
Third.
third exam, yeah.
I think the best bet is just if you have anything, show me before the first lah, huh? Okay. First, I'm at home, so it's probably okay to, to actually I'm not at home. I'm actually out, but I think I can still reply. I'm in Kuching. Yeah. All right. I think that's it for today. Thank you all. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.